the series of videos that I'm doing are on your inner operating system. And we're going to continue that conversation tonight by talking about triggers. Because if you're human, which I think if you're watching this video, you are human, you're triggered. You get triggered. We all get triggered. We can't be human and not get triggered. There are three things that happen when you get triggered. The first one's really obvious. Something happens. Something has to happen for you to get triggered. If you're on a deserted island, even if you're on a deserted island by yourself, something happened to create a trigger, right? So the first thing is something happened. Now, the second thing is something that happens that you don't realize is happening, but we're slowing it down right now to take a look at it. So something happens, and then you create meaning about the thing that happened. If you're on a deserted island and a wave comes and washes away all of the supplies of food that you have, the meaning is pretty obvious. Holy shit, I got no more food. I may die. The emotion that comes with that is fear and obviously the trigger. But we create meaning about that thing happening, right? That's number two. Something occurs, you create meaning about it, number two. And number three, the mask that you've created, you don't even realize you're wearing a mask. It's a mask that you've been wearing since the time you were probably about 5 years old. It protects you from that meaning. It gets threatened. It gets triggered. And those three elements, or the three elements that are required for the trigger to actually take hold and create havoc the way it can in our life, it's not a problem to fix. You see, once we reveal what's going on under the hood, the trigger shows us where the system that we created is actually working. It's a hard thing to get your head around. The thing that you want to change the most, maybe it's a big trigger, you want to change it because it feels like it doesn't work. But the truth of the matter is it is working. It's working the way it was designed. It's causing pain and grief, and it's a huge pain in your butt, but it's working the way it was created. It's got limitations, and we're going to talk about those today. And it might not be serving you the way it has served you up until this point in your life. So let's talk first about what a trigger feels like, right? So this is part one. We're going to talk about this in three parts. So part one, what a trigger feels like. You think it's about the moment. You think the trigger is about the moment, but the trigger is almost always bigger than the moment. The example that I gave you about the wave washing away all your food, that's a pretty big moment. So the trigger, the trigger, the reaction to that could be a pretty big reaction, and that would be pretty balanced. But very often in our life, something small happens. Something tiny happens. One of the things that happens in my life, I'll be driving and my wife will make a comment about my driving. I'll speed up too fast. I'll go up the on-ramp and I'll put on too much gas, and it'll make her feel scared. And she'll make a comment. Could you slow down, please? And my meter inside of me, my emotional meter goes from 0 to like 300 miles an hour. Not literally my car going 300 miles an hour, but my emotional meter inside me. The trigger, the reaction in me is huge. It can be, not always. Or let's say you get reminded about a deadline by your boss, right? And your whole inner system starts panicking. Does he not trust me? Does he not think I'm capable? Does he not think I'm going to hit the deadline? Does he not think I'm good enough? Am I not qualified? Is he looking at other candidates for the job? Or is he interviewing other people? Am I going to get fired? All of these thoughts come as a result of the meaning that you attach to that comment. And it creates a big response. Or let's say you're a consultant and you give advice to a client and they don't listen to you. They don't do it. And you feel threatened. You feel like, oh, maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I'm not good enough in here. So the trigger feels big. Your chest tightens, your mind starts spinning, you stop being present. And then you judge yourself because you shouldn't feel the way you're feeling. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. You shouldn't get so upset. See, if the reaction feels oversized or outsized, it didn't start here. It's not about the thing happening in the moment. And most of us ask the question, what's wrong with me? And that's not the right question. The right question is, what just got touched in me? What just got activated in me? So we're going to move into the second part now, is this meaning, the meaning that comes before emotion, right? So we talked about triggers, and now we're going to talk about the meaning that we create. We don't react to the events that are happening in our life. We react to the way we relate to the events. The way we relate to the events, or what we make the events mean. What does this mean about me? When this happens, something happens and I create meaning. I create a story in my head. That creates an emotion and that creates a reaction. For example, well, listen, see, you know that there's a underlying story happening or meaning making happening, because reactions to the same event happening are not universal, right? So if I served dinner and I had people from all over the world at my table, and I brought, I don't know, I'm going to think of something that I think is disgusting, like monkey brains out, and I served monkey brains as an appetizer. There are going to be some people at the table that are creating a story about monkey brains as, I can't eat this. What is this? What am I, what's going on here? The emotion will be some sort of disgust, and the reaction will maybe even be throwing up. Who the heck knows? Where somebody else might have a completely different reaction. Oh, this is a delicacy. I can't wait to eat monkey brains. I don't know who that is. So you can tell me later. But that's a kind of an extremely kind of a silly example. It's not silly because it could happen with anything. It could happen with, I could put raw fish on the table, and someone that has had bad experiences with the raw fish could have that same example, right? Could have that same reaction. But in this area of getting controlled by our triggers, right? We get feedback from someone, right? That's the thing that happens. And the story that we make is, and this is something that happens to me, I must be wrong. I did it wrong. I wouldn't need feedback if I didn't do it wrong, right? And then I feel an emotion that's tied to that, which is like shame or guilt, and then I do something. So it's this process. The meaning comes first, comes before the reaction, comes before the emotion. It's never just the event that happens that's causing it. And the reaction that you have makes sense once you understand the meaning that came first. Like, oh yeah, of course. Of course I'm reacting that way. because I made this mean this. And so the meaning that perfect. See, this is the same operating system we've been talking about in the last few videos. The operating system is running you. It's running in the background and it's running you, and you don't realize it's running. And it's because it's completely invisible. And so a lot of this work is really about revealing this operating system. All right, so hope you're still with me. We're going to move into the third part, this mask, right? So we're all wearing a mask that we've built, we've constructed, and we've constructed the mask in order to not feel the pain of the trigger that reminds us of this thing that we're lacking. See, when we're super young, something happens and we create a story around the thing that happens, around our not enoughness or our lack of safety or our lack of belonging. And we then create a mask to pretend that that's not the case, to prove that that's not the case. See, and this mask is how we've survived. It's worked incredibly well. It's allowed us to build the life that we have. This is the purpose of the ego, this operating system that is keeping us successful. For most of you watching this video, you've achieved a certain level of success in your life already. And it's because of this. This isn't broken. It's just limited. So I want you to really be able to see these patterns. Think about, I'm not enough. What might you do if you have what mask might you create if you think underneath, I'm not enough? Well, you might create a mask of achievement. You might create a mask where you have to prove your worthiness all the time, over and over and over again. You have to win medals. You have to get degrees. You have to be the smartest guy in the room always to prove that you are enough. Maybe you have to be the most productive person that you know, proving that you are. These are the masks that you might construct. Take another one. I don't belong. What might you do if you have an underlying belief that you don't belong that's painful? Well, that could be the recipe for becoming a codependent. Like, no matter what, I'm going to be liked. I'm going to make sure people like me, or I'm needed. I'm indispensable. You cannot do without me. Because I never want to feel that I don't belong. Or take this third one. I'm not safe. What's the best way to try to guarantee that you're safe? Well, one way that a lot of people do it is they try to control everything. They try to create certainty in a life, in a world that's uncertain. So, how many control freaks do you know? Well, probably a lot. Underlying that is, I'm not safe. Control is an attempt to create safety. See, the mask, it's not fake. It's functional. Its purpose, its existence is to protect us from our old pain. And it works. But triggers cut under the mask. They go straight to the pain. You don't know that in the moment because it's going fast. But that's why the response to a trigger is so much out of proportion to the event that happens usually. And so what do? We armor up. We get defensive. We get angry. We push people away. We withdraw. The reaction is to avoid the threat of the feeling of something that you couldn't handle before. I hope you're starting to see that the system is it's a really solid system and it works really, really well. It just is limited in what it does. So what can we do to change this? So this is the last part. See, triggers aren't something to fix, right? I hope if you've taken anything away from this video, that's what you've taken away. Triggers aren't something to fix. There's something to be seen. Evidence of the system. And triggers start to soften when they're seen. So the goal isn't to change it. I mean, I know that sounds crazy. The goal is to make a change, but it's not to fix the trigger. It's to start to see and to create space. So the first thing you do when you're activated, and this is one of the hardest things that we all have to do, is pause. Can you take a breath before you respond? This takes a lot of practice. This can take years just to get this one step down. To notice. And when you are able to pause, the next step is to name what's happening. What is happening right now? My wife asked me to not drive so fast on the off-ramp. That's what's happening, period. That's step 2. Step 3. What does it feel like it means about me? Well, that means I'm a bad driver. That means I did something wrong. That means I am unreliable. That means I'm a bad husband. That means Julia doesn't trust me. That means whatever it means. That's a cascade of meaning that I'm making out of that event that it's going to cause a certain reaction. And then the 4th step, ask yourself, is it true? Is any of that true? The meaning that you're making? 9 times out of 10, it's not true. See, awareness creates space. And space creates choice. You know, I would tell you that we live in a free world where you can make choices anytime. You're free to make any choice you want to, but you're really not. When this system is active and running, it's running you, and you're not free to make a choice. You need space from it to see it so that you can actually make a choice. Understanding this is the beginning of freedom. So that's all I got for you. I would love to hear what you think in comments. I would love to hear if you're able to relate to this, how this relates to your life, what's happening for you in your life in a where this might be helpful. And if you're getting something out of these videos, I'd love you to subscribe. Like, it helps me know that you want more of these videos. I'd love your feedback. And I really appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. I'm grateful that you're showing up, and I'm grateful that I'm showing up too. All right, I'll see you for the next video, and we'll be talking more about all sorts of stuff related to how we work inside. See you next time.